Hi, I'm Katie Crane, and this is the Pilates Lounge. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Pilates Lounge Podcast. My name's Katie Crane. I'm the Pilates professional. Today, we are still touching on the subject of fibromyalgia. If you've been listening to the episodes, we've spoken to a few people, both living with fibro and working with fibro. And the idea is that we gain so much more depth of understanding by listening to people's stories. So today I've got Loukia with me from Young Pilates. She's in the UK and it's late over there. So I do really appreciate you coming on board. And we've already spoken for like half an hour as it is. So thank you for joining me. Loukia is another guest who has been living with fibromyalgia, and she has been loving practicing Pilates in her own body, is now certified. So I'm really just going to hand over the microphone to you for you to tell your story, just like we already have. But let's recap your story. What happened for you to end up with this diagnosis in the first place?
Hi, Kate. Yeah, hi. Good evening, should I say. Well, in 2014, in September 2014, I had a car accident. And the car accident wasn't anything grand. It was a car shunted me in the back. And it was basically from then that I couldn't actually have the capacity to write down the gentleman's telephone number. So it just felt like everything escalated from there. Just the whole thought process of understanding what I was going through just seemed to debilitate me. I was very much unwell from get-go, considering I was very healthy. There was a lot going on inside me. I just felt like I was losing weight very quickly. A lot. It was just life changing straight away. So from the moment I realized I was unwell, I was making notes of what was actually wrong with me. So I went to visit the doctor. I said to the doctor, "This is what's wrong with me. This is how I'm feeling." And then he was giving me high prescription drugs. So it was the naproxens, the cocodamols, the amitriptylines. And I was taking them, but I wasn't feeling good. Reading the pamphlets saying how that the side effects would affect me more. So I eventually went back to him and said to him, "This is not how I would like to continue my life taking prescription drugs. Surely there must be a better way of being able to manage this condition." At that time, I wasn't really diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I was more diagnosed with something that was going wrong with me. There was nothing clear. Eventually, when I did get the diagnosis of fibromyalgia, I was like, well, there must be something better that I can do for myself. And he did say either take Tai Chi or do Pilates. So I started practicing Pilates. So I used to go to the gym and do mat Pilates. And I did find on odd occasions when I was doing the exercises, I'd fall asleep within the class. But that was because my body was tired. I was doing the exercises after doing a couple of reps of them. I just want to fall asleep. And I would fall asleep. My teacher would come over to me and say, "Oh, why are you sleeping in my class?" And then eventually she understood my routine, should I say, of falling asleep in the class. But I used to build up all this energy, so I'd want to go back. I felt like it was doing my body good. I absolutely loved doing Pilates. My body loved Pilates. So I felt like that was the right direction for me to go in, to practice Pilates 11 years ago to help my condition of fibromyalgia.
And so you got hit by the car, and then what was it like? And you said in our conversation before, that literally you got hit by the car, and then you were so rattled by it that you couldn't even write down your number and stuff. Was it at the time? Was it like immediately painful, or like what was that whole experience?
Well, it was a really strange experience because for someone who and probably not don't know, just it felt so weird. I got out of the car and it just felt just so confused by what had just happened. I didn't actually know what I was supposed to do when someone hit my car. I actually called my godmother to say to her, you know, what do I do in this instance? Because I'm actually really confused. So I think what had happened was that it just blank. It just felt like just completely and utterly lost. And that is what fibromyalgia feels like. You're lost all the time. Your health is gone. You know, especially if you're in a flare, you just feel like that everything's closing in on you. You know, you've got no space to breathe. You know, you've got no energy, no life in you. And I suppose that's what happened. I had shut down completely and utterly. Um, that was like early in the week, and by the end of the week, I had all these symptoms just started to come on. We touched on it earlier when we spoke. You know, the nervous system. The nervous system felt like it was actually shutting down on me. You know, from like having dry eyes, dry. Not very strange to talk about this on YouTube, but I will. You know, like no wax in my ears, sore throat. The sore throat was an interesting one. I had a sore throat straight away from the beginning. You know, my skin had changed color. It looked like it was green or translucent. It just looked so different from what I was used to, you know, even down to my hair. I had flu symptoms coming along, you know, constant aches and pains in my joints. And this all happened very early. So, my point I'm trying to say from very early of the accident, from someone being so very well at the beginning before the accident, by the end of the week, I felt like a completely different person. So um, I can clearly say I've been through every single symptom and I felt every single symptom from the get go of that car accident.
It's so
Yeah.
wild, isn't it? That one event can then bring on all of those symptoms. Like, did you feel at the time that like we've spoken about this, like, you know, before we started recording, but you know, we kind of talked about, did you feel at the time that you were stressed? It wasn't anything that you recognized, but over the period of seeing different people, then have you come to realize that potentially there was underlying stress in your life?
Yeah, no, so we did talk about this earlier. And I said to you at the time, so a year later, after seeing my consultant for the condition, um, she actually said to me at the time, were you stressed? And I said to her, well, I didn't think I was stressed. Um, so I started to think about it. I was like, well, actually, maybe. First of all, you know, this happened in the September, the car accident. In the June, me and my husband had finished, you know, a business that we'd had for 8 years. We were buying a flat. Son was moving school from primary school to secondary school. So it was a big transition. He was also under the umbrella of CAMS, which was, you know, Senko department. They were looking after him, seeing if he had any kind of unusual behavior as a child, you know, a condition of his own. So, was I stressed? I suppose I was a little bit, but I didn't think I was stressed. And that was just, you know, the superficial stuff, you know, that would be there all the time. But the underlying stuff of running around as a parent, a wife, a daughter, a sister, a friend, you know, we live our lives in stress. You know, we're constantly trying to catch up with ourselves, you know. And especially in London, you don't have respite. You don't have a beach to walk along and get that fresh air, you know. We have parks. Yes, they're lovely, but the days are quite short. So dark, damp days are terrible for anyone with fibromyalgia, you know. Um, at the moment in London, the last couple of days it's been raining quite a lot, and I felt um, the cold to my bones. And it sounds so strange to say something like that. I'm sure Joe Bloggs sitting next to me that doesn't have fibromyalgia will feel cold. I honestly feel it in the deep, deep of my bones. And I can actually sit fully clothed with a jacket on and a scarf in my sauna at 40 degrees and still not be hot. Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah,
And
I have done that.
mhm. And so how long has it been since you've been diagnosed with fibro?
I was diagnosed in 2014.
Wow, so quite a while, like
Oh,
10.
that's when I had. Sorry, that's when I had the accident. My apologies. That's when I had the accident. I was diagnosed. I was told. So that was in the September. I was told in the December by my physio that he thought I may have had fibromyalgia, and I was like, never heard of this condition before. So I literally Googled it when I got into my car, and every single symptom on that list was me. It
Mhm,
was like, oh my God, I am not crazy.
mm, mhm,
That was for me the best day, the best news I could have got, because I actually thought I was going crazy. I did actually think this I'm making this up now, you know? How many symptoms can one person have, from having a migraine to having a toe ache to having uh, your arm or bruises all the time. And I still do get random bruises. That's a telltale sign for me when I'm going to get a flare.
ah,
If if I get a bruise on my body, random bruise as well, it can be anywhere. Um, I've got pictures of me having a bruise here, complete circle bruise. Why would I? And then the following day, I'd have a flare up.
mm. And so I've heard that from a lot of people that, the diagnosis is almost like a relief because like you say, you realize, oh, I'm not crazy. It is something. But then can you share like what, you say that it can be like random pain and, as far as your toe or headaches and bruising. What are some other symptoms that you get that are indicative of fibro?
Oh, name a symptom. Like I'd have like a sneezing fit, like I'm catching a cold, and suddenly I've got full blown like runny nose, cough, sneezes. It's like, is this a cold or is this my fibro that's like bothering me? And it's almost like your mind plays tricks on you. You know, it tells you, oh, today you're gonna have a migraine all day, and you're gonna feel aches and pains in your shoulders, and then the next day it's just gonna disappear. Or you're gonna have irritable bowel syndrome, or the following day you'll be constipated. None of this. There's no rhyme or reason with fibromyalgia. There's always something different, you know. Um, like at the, I was going to the doctors for a while about a pain I had in my thumb, niggly pain in my thumb. I couldn't understand it. My kids would hold my hand and I'd be like, ow, that hurts. No, I'm not even touching you. So, like, it's just, okay, joint pain, muscle pain, but still, nevertheless, painful pain in the thumb,
Mm,
you know? Um, sensitive teeth, like your teeth would be really heightened with pain to the point that I'd go to the dentist and say, oh my God, my teeth, they really hurt. And there's nothing wrong with them. Um, it's so many different symptoms. I mean, I couldn't even tell you. Like, it is tough being a fibromyalgia sufferer. It really is, because you do end up having a lot of psychological issues, because you do actually think from one day to the next, how many symptoms can this, condition have? And the doctors say nasty things to you like this, like it's all in your head. Yes, I'm aware it's all in my head. It's my brain. My brain is telling me I'm unwell, not that I'm thinking I'm unwell. And there's also that thing that they say to you about how, if you think about the pain, or if you think about that you're unwell, let's say, oh, your arm hurt, your arm's going to hurt because you're thinking it. No, it hurts. It genuinely hurts.
yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things, isn't it? That is, yeah, I understand that it's all in my brain, but I'm not imagining it. I'm actually living it. And by somebody saying to you, it's all in your head, then it makes you feel like they think you're actually crazy or something. It's not. It's that you're actually living that reality, but understanding that experience is coming from your brain. And you kind of explained it before when we were talking, that your consultant explained to you how when you got shafted by the car, there was this whole process that happened. And you were saying, that you would have been pushed forwards, like, fallen forwards, like your head gets pushed forwards, and then that sets off a response in the brain that, you're in danger, and then your whole body ends up having this this whole system long-term response, isn't it? That's kind of what it sounds like what happened to you, huh?
What the consultant actually said to me, she actually said at the time of the accident, your head would have gone forward. So your brain would have hit the front of your temple. And what would have happened? Your brain would have released all those stressful chemicals into your body. And your brain would have moved ever so slightly. However mils they would have told me, that's how much it would have moved. And at the time, when I was going through my condition with all these symptoms, I did actually think my body's gone into shock. That's what it actually felt like. It actually felt like I was in complete, utter shock. And bear in mind, I was fully well at the start of that week. The accident was midweek, and by the end of the week, I felt like a completely and utterly different person, to the point that I was actually crying myself, like fully loaded with tears of what is going on with me right now. I can't cope. I was this strong, independent woman. Now I'm depending on, because I can't write down a telephone number from a car accident. That's how bad it was. And because it was a car accident, I did have whiplash. I know I did have whiplash, but it didn't feel like just whiplash. That's the whole point. And for someone that was so well, to suddenly having all these different things going wrong with them. And the only way I could really describe how I really, really felt was like I had really bad flu,
Mm.
that muscle ache, that heaviness, that exhaustion, that fatigue, that, like your head is heavy, your brain can't think for itself. You have got lack of appetite. All of a sudden, your bowels are doing wrong movements. It's just, it was just so much that the body felt like it had gone into complete, utter shock. And we spoke about it being the nervous system. And I think I felt everything. I really do. I felt absolutely every single symptom possible. And because it was an insurance claim, because I did claim in the end, I wrote down everything that was going on with me. And from one day to the next, that's the irony with fibro. It really does play with your mind. Because one day you could be well, you could be 70% well, like you're still getting on with your day, you still got a headache, you still got pains, but you can function, you can walk around. Walk as well is one thing that you can do. Or the next day, you could be bedridden, you'd be crying because you're in so much pain that you can't sleep. Or you just can't walk. At one point, well, I remember I purchased the cane. I purchased the cane and I was using it for one whole week because I couldn't walk. And now I'm a Pilates instructor teaching people how to move.
Mm.
And that's what I love about what Pilates has brought to me. It's brought me a whole new world of understanding my body, which I want to encourage with other people as well, for them to understand, read and listen to your body. If you cannot understand your own body, I can't help you. And that's what I thought was so good about when I was going through what I was going through. I could feel everything, I could understand, oh my God, what's going on here? Oh yeah, this feels weird. Let me fix it. Let me try and manage it myself. So I did that. I started buying props for myself. I started buying massage tools like a massage gun, a foam roller that vibrates so it would massage my back. I was getting massages once a week to help relax my muscles because I was convinced the tension in the muscles was not helping my sleep patterns. And this is the thing, a lot of fibromyalgia people cannot sleep. And that's what the knock on effect is. If their body's not rested from sleep, then they can't function for the next day. Whereas I'm very fortunate, I can sleep. Sleep is very.
And so you found Pilates because it was recommended to you, and you're going to these classes, sometimes falling asleep because you're so exhausted, But then talk us through that journey of, what you keep going to classes and what starts to happen for your body, or what do you start to realize?
Well, yeah. So I got recommended by my doctor to go to these Pilates classes. So I started, going to gyms. And what I found with the classes that I was attending was that, some days I could do them, some days I couldn't do them. Some days it was just worth getting out the house to say I've made an effort to get out, getting that fresh air, being with people, trying to be part of a group, you know? So taking part in the classes, eventually the teacher knew I would sleep in a class because she knew I was unwell. But it wasn't like I was sleeping for the whole class. I'd like do an exercise and then think, oh God, I'm so knackered. I just need to close my eyes for a little while. It might have been for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, who knows? But that rest was what the body needed, you know? Then I started documenting it. I started, recording it and posting it on my fibromyalgia page, which was amazing, really, because it gave me that inspiration for me to watch myself. Oh, I can move. Oh, you can do this. You know what? Actually, it's helping you feel good about yourself. Oh my God, I feel actually energized. Suddenly I feel awake. Actually, my body likes Pilates. I'm going to continue doing this. And that's where the journey started, really, because it made me feel good about myself. It made my body like Pilates. In fact, Fibro loves Pilates. And so a couple of years ago, I was looking for work and I came across an advert and it said manager required in a Pilates studio. And yes, however much I'm a manager, my own businesses, I was never a Pilates instructor. So I thought, why don't I become a Pilates instructor instead? And toughest journey I've ever been through, including fibro, I think. I think studying for stop Pilates is a tough ride. um, and that was very challenging to the point that my anxiety was through the roof. Um, And let me just tell you, let me just touch on that point. My anxiety was through the roof, and I realized I was going through my perimenopause at the time too. So I ended up going on HRT, and I actually think HRT is actually very good for fibromyalgia. It actually balanced me very well. I wasn't getting as bad flares. My flares suddenly seemed to be a lot more less frequent and less intensive. They weren't hitting me so hard. They were more okay, I was getting them, but I was recovering quite quickly as long as I was doing my self care, like massaging myself, having hot baths, keeping myself calm, eating well, drinking well. Fluid is very important when it comes to having any day. Drink water with your fibro because just the body needs a little bit of that, water system inside us, keep hydrated. So yes, I found that very good for fibromyalgia. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me because, our hormones, our estrogen, is partly about communicating and and building relationships. So it's going to help with easing those the sensations of anxiety and stuff. And progesterone is very calming for us. So it makes sense that I mean, there's statistically it's when women go through menopause that the rate of marriage breakups go through the roof because our emotions change so much as we're going through that. So it would make sense that if your body is more settled, you've got more of those hormones, then you're able to manage all of those experiences. And so I agree. Well, I remember when I did my Pilates teacher training, oh my gosh, I feel like my Pilates teacher training and becoming a mother were two of the biggest experiences of my life,
Yeah.
Such
Mm.
so becoming a Pilates instructor is a huge commitment, isn't it? There's so much work involved to doing it. So how did really learning, because like you start by going, I feel like when I first did Pilates, it's a different experience, isn't it, to when you actually start understanding it as an instructor. How has that changed the way that you see the body now that you're certified, or now that you've gone through that process?
What I do love about Pilates is that I can feel everything. As a fibro sufferer, if I do a particular exercise, let's say side kick, I can feel where the muscles are working, where the joints are working. So I love teaching exercises I can really feel for my client, I, giving them the benefit of what I'm experiencing. And okay, they may not feel it as amplified or magnified, should I say, as me, but I know that's what they're getting. That's how they feel. And yeah, I've had great results with clients, being able to cue them and correct them and help them through any kind of ailment. Headaches. Headaches is a big one, the tensions in the shoulders. So yeah, I think it's a great way to help people. And that's one of the reasons why I went into it, is to help people with fibromyalgia, or just help people with any kind of ailments. A lot of people these days will be suffering with tech necks, the whole looking down on their phones, sitting at a desk, hunched over. Yeah, in 5-10 years time, people are going to find that they're going to need more and more Pilates movement instructors. And that's where I'm ready for you. Yeah.
That's cool. And so do you tend to attract people that have fibro, or because you feel like you understand it?
Yeah, so when I started to study to be a Pilates instructor, I approached a mum from the school, from my children's school, and I knew that she had fibro. We weren't like great buddies or anything, but I knew of her and I knew that she had the condition. So I called her up last year and I said to her, right, I'm training to be a Pilates instructor. I'm coming for you. I'm going to teach you. And yeah, I've been teaching her since April, since I qualified. And she loves it. She benefits from it. And she can't believe, like, some days she'll turn up and say, I'm not feeling it today. And we'll just do whatever she can do. It's not, the fact is that she turned up is a huge positive, knowing that she knows that it helps her, me knowing that. And sometimes we both are not feeling it. So we'll just lie down on the mat and talk about how we're feeling. And sometimes that's all you need to do.
Mm.
Talk. It's very difficult for a fibro sufferer to live with fibromyalgia and the people around you that love you dearly do not understand what you're going through. And that is the hardest, I would say, that is the hardest part that was for me, because it just felt like I was making it up all the time. It did feel like I was going crazy, until I actually got diagnosed with the word you have fibromyalgia. I actually thought I was mentally unwell.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, when I talk to like my husband or, you know, people around me, and I say, what's wrong with me today? And they're like, oh, really? Okay. But you were fine yesterday. And you're just like, yeah, I know. So going back to this client of mine that I teach fibromyalgia, oh, what a revelation to be able to talk to someone that understands what I'm going through. You know, like the other week, bless her, she turned up to my class with a gift. And the gift was a bottle this big, which was eye drops. Because I said to her the week before, my eyes are so itchy. What is wrong with me? And that is the nerves. That is the nerves at the tip of my eyes giving me a hell of a hard time. And she turned up with a very simple eye drops and gave it to me. She was like, there you go. And no other person would understand that, you know? So it is nice, excuse me, it is nice to reach out to people that have the condition, to speak to it, to speak to them about it. Yeah.
And so if, as somebody who, you know, who lives with fibro and who, like, it sounds like you're managing it very well. What are some key ideas that instructors or, you know, or movement educators could take on board so that other people could serve people living with a condition? What if you go to somebody else, you know, and that person doesn't live with the condition? What are some things that they might want to consider?
If they had fibromyalgia, are you saying?
No, if I'm an instructor and I work with,
Yeah.
I want to work with somebody with fibro, you know, what are some things that I might want to consider when that person comes to a session?
Okay, fair enough. Take it easy on them. Understand that they can't be that person you want them to be, you know, move quickly, do more reps than everyone, you know, intense workout is not what they've gone for. You know, they're there to actually move because that's what they want to do. They want to understand how they can strengthen themselves, but not push them too much. You know, you want to take it at their pace, understand their body, let them tell you what they want. So, you know, it might be a case of they might just want to open up their chest because it's quite tight. Work with that, you know? Let them tell you what their body wants today, you know? But then as an instructor, just do the fundamentals, you know, breathing, leg work, you know, and there's a lot of tension in the back of the neck, and a lot of Pilates instructors don't tend to cue a small head nod, and that brings on a lot of strain on these muscles here. And as a fibro sufferer, this is where we hold our pain. It's all in our neck, in our shoulders, you know. It just feels like at all times the tension's there, even when we're having a good day. So, as an instructor, I would say to them to encourage head nods and cue their breathing, because as our muscles and our joints are the problem, it's a musculoskeletal condition, as you are aware. They need to understand that the muscles get tired very quickly. So if you cue the breath work will help them not strain those muscles too. So it's very important for them to cue head nods and the breath work, because if the client goes to do a certain move, even if it's an ab prep, if they've got the breath work wrong, they're going to strain a muscle somewhere and they're going to be in pain for days, weeks, months, unless they get it sorted. And how do we get it sorted? Well, we go and see a physio. They try and massage it out. They try and, you know, give you cream. These things are painkillers. These things do work, but it's just so simple to cue breath.
And do you find are you using breath to kind of settle that tension first as well? Like, do you tend to do like some release work and some preparatory work as well as part of that, and not just, cueing breath to engage the core? It's actually using your breath to alleviate the tension.
Yeah, I mean, with one or two of my clients, if I find that then they're not actually focused, I do tend to get them to do a lot of breath work first so that they can kind of like get their mind into where their body is, so that they can actually, it doesn't have to be a fibromyalgia patient either. It could be anybody. We can strain our muscles without even breathing properly. And we do hold a lot of tension. So with any kind of client, what I do tend to do with them, especially if I know that they've got tension in their body, I tend to get them to do breath work, and I get them to like roll their body out, starting with their feet, bringing up to their ankles, their knees, their hips, going into their shoulders. So it's almost like you're, loosening your joints up before you actually do any work. And the muscles like that, the muscles think, oh, we're relaxing now. What we're doing, oh, this is nice. And then I get them on the mat. Then I get them to do some nice breath work, the 3-dimensional breath that we've been taught, for them to oxidize their muscles, to get the oxygen into those muscles so it works harder. That is so key. We could do that for 5 minutes. That's long enough, I think. But any kind of breath work is brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. I love breath work as well. And so now that you are managing your fibro, do you have many flare-ups? And when you do, and if you are having a flare-up, is that associated with like stress at the time, or is it random, or what is it? What does life look like now for you?
Well, weirdly enough, the last, I don't know, I'd say 6 months, my flares seem to happen once a month. Um, last this so I don't know how I'm managing it so well. Whether I'm contented, whether it's the Pilates, whether I've got less stress in my life, which I doubt I do. I'm sure I still carry that stress, but I tend to manage. Sleep is very important for anybody with fibromyalgia. If you can sleep, then sleep. But fatigue is one thing, but being able to sleep by yourself is another thing. So yeah, I manage my flares, but the flares can come whenever. They don't have to be stress related. You are aware of that, right? So it could be hormones. It could be, something that's triggered it. Like last week, I was cold and damp. My whole body felt cold and damp, and I could feel myself shutting down. And when I say shut down, you can actually feel like the batteries are being drained out of your body, and you're just getting smaller and smaller and smaller in posture and in your whole, well-being, that you have to go and lie down and stop everything that you're doing. So it can come out of nowhere, the flare-ups. There's no rhyme or reason why we do get them. There could be a pattern, like lack of sleep, or stress related, or you've eaten too much sugar. One thing how I do manage my fibromyalgia: stop drinking caffeine. I don't eat much refined sugar. Processed foods are try and avoid as much as possible. Just healthy living. Just manage your intake on what you put in your body. That is key. However much you say, oh, but I love it. No, your body doesn't love it though. You may love it. Your body doesn't love it. And you have to be mindful about the way you look after yourself, Exercise is important. Drinking water is very important. Sleep is important. These things, you've just got to be mindful and try and avoid stress. You can't avoid stress, though. The world we live in, you can't.
Well, and they are all stresses, aren't they? So even So there, all of those, like the refined food, the sugar, the caffeine, they're all stress triggers for the body, aren't they? So even if your environment isn't stressful, it sounds like it's reducing any overload on your body is what helps.
Yeah, 100%. Anything that is going to give you that extra push, like caffeine. Caffeine heightens your nerves.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So fibromyalgia is a nerve condition too. Your nerves are at the top all times. Your nerves are bothered. You can feel them jumping around. You can feel them twitching. You can feel your whole body jump sometimes. And these caffeine is nowhere good for you.
Mm.
Um, it, even alcohol is terrible. I mean, I do like a little drink every now and again, but I don't drink as much as I used to drink. So I can have, let's say I have a beer and a glass of wine in one night. The next day I feel like I've got a hangover, and it will
Mm.
take me days to recover from those two naughty little drinks.
Mm.
Which is very sad really, because, you can't have fun so much.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, well, you've just got to manage things. I feel like it in general we become much more sensitized to those things as we get older. Hey, what our
Yeah.
body loses the capacity to be able to deal with, you know, foods that are bad for us and alcohol and things like that. It is part of aging, and I wonder if it is because like over the years we've stress upon stress upon stress, and then your body's like, no, 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 I can't deal with that anymore. You know. But yeah. All right. So,
Possibly.
hmm,
I have got something for you. I've
yeah.
got this cream here.
Hmm. Oh, cool. I've never seen that before. What's in it?
What's in it? Oh well, I need to read it. But this, I'll send you the link. But this cream is amazing. So there's things in here like arnica, glyphosates. I can't read, it's so small, the print. But I'll show you another cream quickly that I absolutely love. And these creams here, this is my Pilates studio, by the way. These creams here are for muscles,
Hmm.
any kind of muscle ache you may have. And it's made with the mussels from the ocean.
Oh, wow.
And this is a cooling gel, and this is a hot gel. This has got chili in it and mussels.
Hmm.
And both creams are amazing. All three creams are amazing for fibromyalgia.
So, what's the benefit? Do you find?
So let's say I woke up this morning and I felt like I had a trapped nerve in my shoulder, probably in my lower trap, actually. So I applied this cream, and within 5 minutes, I felt the release of the muscle. It cracked, it popped, whatever it did, it's gone.
Oh, cool.
So I'd highly recommend any fibromyalgia sufferer to buy any of these creams. This cream is pretty cool.
Hmm.
I don't know how it works. It's a homeopathic cream. I really do not understand how it works because it's amazing. So if I do have a flare of an evening, I do tend to put it all over my shoulders, all across my chest, and it just relaxes me.
Oh, that's cool. Well, we'll have to put the links for it. Not that this is an advert.
Yeah.
We're not affiliated with these blokes at all,
No.
but we'll definitely pop some links for them so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
people can check them out. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's
100%.
awesome. Yeah, to be sure. So, but as we wrap up, um, what's your hopes for your own future?
My own future, Kate. I'm so excited about my future. I really am. I only qualified in April, been practicing for 11 years. I only qualified in April. It hasn't even been a year. I've been knocking on doors and people have been opening, and I'm going in, and I like what I see. So, um, I had an interview with a doctor, and he would like me to work in his clinic. So there's future there for referrals with people with my condition. I also want to, I will be, I got notice yesterday that I'll be working with a wellness center, and I'll be teaching people that have got ailments and pains and want to get fit. I've got private clients. I work in a studio. I'm doing great work. I'm helping people that need help, who really what they're looking for is confidence, and body confidence is the most important thing, really. You know, if you can get your mind into your body and listen to your body that needs help, that is the first, hurdle that you need to overcome. And that's what I want to do. I want to help people get confident and feel strong and be able to walk down the street without a cane. Your spine is only as young as you are, and if you're feeling old, then that's not the way forward. And that's why I've called my business Live Young. I want people to feel young as they grow older. Yeah. So my hope is I just grow with my personal goal, which is helping people. And I'm just so excited about the future because it can only get bigger and better. With my personal goals of helping people with fibromyalgia and other people with chronic conditions as well as, yeah.
That's cool. And what would you say, what's your definition of Pilates for you?
Definition of Pilates, movement. That's a tough one, that is.
I know. But it's unique to you, right? So you're like because we all struggle with this, like if you go to a party and somebody said, "Oh, what do you do?" and you're like, "Oh, I'm a Pilates instructor," and they say, "Oh, what?" So you stretch bodies, because nobody really understands what Pilates is. So what is Pilates for you?
Movement, strength, the ability to get up off the chair. Just something so simple like that, being able to feel, we touched on confidence, but to be able to feel confident in your own body, and I love the way I walk now, I feel like I stand strong. I feel strong. I stand, my posture. So this is what I do. I do actually do posture analysis on people, figure out what's actually not right with their body, understand it in my own body. So I'll practice on like feeling like, but I've been there. I know how you feel. I know your neck feels crooked. I've been there. I know you. I may not look like I'm unwell, but I am that person. Today I will be you because I thought about it too much, And it is all in our head. Our brain is telling us, body, understand what's going on with them and try and fix it. And that's what I'm trying to do. So what is my definition of Pilates? Understanding your own body helps you understand what's going on. If you can read your own body, then you're halfway there. You've got to listen. You've only got one body. You've got to listen to it. Take care of yourself. Look after what is your pride. You don't want someone to say to you, "Oh, how old are you?" "Oh, yeah, you can't walk because you're old." No, I can. So I'm going to a workshop on Saturday, and this guy actually said that from the age of 3 or 4 years old, we've been told to stop moving. 4 years old, sit still, stop fidgeting, behave, don't get up. And really, that is wrong because you should be able to move how you want to move freely. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to I'm not even 50 yet. And I feel like I've got more energy than I've ever had in my whole life through doing Pilates. Is it passion? Maybe. But is it because I feel good? I've kind of like managed my condition. Yes, I'm happy. I'm very happy with. So, what is my definition of Pilates? My definition is feel strong. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining me, Loukia. Your story is so precious for our listeners, and I love that you're using your experience to help other people, to serve other people. And let's continue this journey together. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I absolutely loved it. I love sharing my story, and I really, really hope it helps people to understand that Pilates will help your condition.
I'm sure it will. Thanks again.
Thanks.